Hello! And today I'm going to do the explanation video for the 5x5 because I actually forgot to do that for the last 5x5. And here it is, the new 5x5 explained. So hopefully you'll learn a lot from this. Hopefully it won't be too dramatic. And yeah, let's just get into it. Yeah, here we have the input circuit. I just built four modules here to explain each of the parts of the door. And yeah, so this is the input circuit. This works off a concept where you have, well, actually, where you have redstone on the floor and you have a piston on top, the redstone block. This here will give out, this redstone will flash, as you can see. Flashes, and this gives out a one-tick pulse to this torch every time. As you can see, it needs to be like that because there is actually a torch tower in the door, which means that if that if that thing wasn't there, this wouldn't happen. Okay, so that's the basic concept behind that. And basically right here, this is the lever. So what happens first is this goes into this and into that. That's just so the closing of this thing fires a lot faster. And then the opening fires. After 16 ticks. Okay, and then for the top we also have a dual edge. I forgot to mention that's a dual edge. But this is a different dual edge. This is a double dual edge. Well, a multi-output dual edge, I can say. So they have different outputs and they are at different places. So if I flick this lever, you can see. Yeah, it works. Yeah, like that. Well, yeah, that's basically the concept behind that. That's how we can get the closing and then the top at different spots, just using that thing. And yeah, uh, let's go to some of the circuits that actually control pistons in this store. This is the first one. This is what I like to call the storage system. Mainly because it it controls all the pulses that happens to these pistons, to the storage pistons. So this is a very small circuit, and it does actually do more than you'd expect, really. What it does is it does this, right? And then let's just reset this so it's easier to see on the other edge. Basically, it spits this out, spits this up, and spits this out again. And for the other way, basically does the same thing. And that's basically how it works. It's like it's the same circuit for both opening and closing, because if you watch these blocks closely when I open this, when I close it, see they get spit out. But in the other way, you can see they get dragged all the way down, which is super nice, which is exactly what we need, because that's where the first blocks are stored, and yeah, it's just cool. So that's how that part works. Well, the way it works basically is because of this giving a one-tick pulse, it goes into this, and then firstly it gives a pulse to this. This here doesn't look like it actually powers it, but it actually does, as you can see. And this bottom input is just connected with 2 ticks of delay afterwards into that. And because of the stuff happening in that circuit over there, this which I'm gonna call it. Yeah, this here actually has to fire very late, so that's why there's a long delay going around here into this monostable, because this has to be a one-tick pulse, and it has to be very late, so that's the reason behind that. And that's also why the closing is pretty slow on this door. Well, so yeah, that's that circuit, and now let's go into actually explaining most of the other parts of the bottom. So, that's basically a storage system. The rest is actually a lot of stuff, but it works very well, and it's pretty genius. So basically, if I remove this block, I can't remove that block. If I remove this piston, okay. So basically, when there is no block on top of this blue circuit here is a triple extender, by the way. It's very funny. Yeah, well, the blue circuit is a triple extender. Well, actually, I won't explain the circuit yet. I'll explain that afterwards. But let me actually first explain the core circuit, so to say, of the whole bottom. That's this sine circuit. So, what this does, it basically, oh my god, I can say that word. So basically, what this circuit is basically, oh my god, I said it, yay! Pushing these pistons up for the closing when it's in this position right here. And also retracting the blocks when they are in this position here. Now we'll see that I've actually hooked up everything to this with the storage pistons and everything. So if I power this, you can see what it does. We'll push all the way up, like so. And when it's the other way around, basically, yeah, this is pretty hard to explain. But how this works, it works on this double extender right here. That's the basic concept behind this thing here. This. Yeah, you get a concept. That's what this here is. This very funny input right here. That's what goes into these three torches, which goes into that double extender thingy. And I'm stuck. No, I'm not. Yeah, so if I just remove some of this stuff so you can see this better, you can see what it does if I remove this block. And yeah, you can just see this here. You can see what it does after some while, after this stuff here passing out. It will push up and do that again. How that works is by this here. This is the timing for it. This is what times that from going up. And basically, first it gives one pulse through this, which goes over into this pulse lengthening circuit. This pulse lengthening circuit is very important for the triple extender. I'll get into that afterwards. And this basically goes around into this repeater, which then in turn goes into this redstone, which then in turn goes into this input right here, which is on this torch, which powers these repeaters, and goes up here into these blocks and that double extender. Yeah, it's complicated, but now this is the funky part. Firing the triple extender is the exact same circuit. Basically, with this here block on top here, it will fire the triple extender. So if I put this block here, this is the position it will be when the door is closed. So basically, if I put these blocks here, you can see that it will do all of the moves for the closing. Opening, I mean, sorry, man. So we'll see that here. And if that block wasn't there, this wouldn't work. Because this here also controls pulling these blocks from this position. Well, after these blocks have been pulled down here, there will be blocks right here. And this one also controls through this redstone and these repeaters around this up here into this input. Controls these pistons pulling down these down there, and then the storage system going with this here and pulling those in. And then the triple extender fires and does all of that funky stuff. So there are some more circuits to this. The green. This one is a very small circuit, as you can barely see it in here. What this controls is, if you see in the closing, you see it actually pushes up those pistons. That's because when these bottom pistons here get a pulse from this input right here, this block here will get power and update all of these 3 bottom pistons. Because right now you see this is actually powered. If I update this, it will go up. And to fix that, that's what this green circuit is. It basically sends a pulse from that input down into this, so it will retract it again. For it to get ready for extending all of the blocks, basically. What the hell was that sound? Was that me? Okay. Well, and for the opening, it just does the same storage system as this pulse, that, and a triple extender. So yeah, those pulses are timed basically through this and this, which is actually from this right here, goes into this all the way down, and that's the second pulse. That's one of the best places I could find to get a pulse to that thing, but yeah. It's a bit complicated, it's very integrated, like everything works together, and that's basically how this bottom works. Like, I don't think any part actually works independently. Maybe these storage pistons do, but well, actually almost nothing does, because everything needs to work together in order for this to work. So yeah, that's the bottom. Now over to the top, actually, which is just a quad extender. So, I have to actually disable some circuit in order to show this, but first of all, let's show the closing. The closing is this dark green, which is through this toggle piston. If this gets a 1-tick pulse, it will spit the block out here and also send a pulse through to this repeater. Now, if this repeater goes up here, it will send a pulse to this, spitting these blocks over here, and then this pulse goes up, firing these top pistons and this input right here. Now, if you want to, you can actually see this in action right now, pretty quick. And now I will actually go into what makes this quad itself work. So I'm going to remove this right here, and this repeater right here, and this redstone dust right there. Now basically, we have this dual edge, which I talked about all the way over there. This will send a pulse through, and we'll actually use the closing circuit again. And half slabs, as you might know, in case you don't, they don't send a signal downwards. So if I power this, you can see it won't power that redstone. But if I power this redstone right here, it will send the pulse up all the way there, which means that this here slab makes it so the closing does not interfere with this here, and vice versa and stuff. So the closing won't fire in a retarded way and break the whole thing. And yeah, that's basically the first thing that happens. And this here goes into a monostable, because this magenta circuit has to be a 2-tick pulse. And I'll explain what this magenta circuit does right after I showed you what it will do, this quad does, when I have just this stuff right here. So it does actually quite a bit of stuff. And how this magenta part works, this is the special system, which is also this part over here. This part, I found it by luck, but it was just when I was building this door the first time, I found this thing and it was like, whoa, this can be used. Oh my god. And basically how it works, when these pistons extend, this one extends and this one extends. And basically everything is bud powered right from this point after this one, because there are no inputs right here to power those bottom pistons. That would be very hard to integrate as well without interfering with shit and stuff. Well, actually that's not possible to do because it actually has to be right there. Well, never mind about that. And yeah, those pistons are bud powered because this timing has to be like this way, because first this extends, then this extends, and one tick after, this here gets a pulse, this input on this white here. And what that will do, it will automatically extend these because of bud powering. And one tick after this, this gets power, and that will basically extend the pistons when they are down here. So what you will see, if I basically just remove this for the moment being, you will see, this is a very hard angle, but yeah, you will see that when these push down, they will basically update and push all the way down. And now I'm going to add one amazing thing here. I'm going to add this here. This is just to give this top one a pull so they can retract those pistons. And there's one more thing I gotta add. This part right here. This one tick repeater. This also goes into the other part. This is the part of geniusness in this quad extender, basically. So as you can see, those actually retracted all of those pistons. And the extremely cool thing about this is that this bottom input needs to be powered 3 times, right? As well does this. This input with these torches has to be powered 3 times. And what we did, we actually make this input go into this repeater through this block and up to this torch, which goes up, around, and into this input. Now, there are more to this yet. We have this part here. This here basically gives a pulse to power these pistons, to retract these pistons one block up. And let me actually remove this redstone for now. Yeah. And in order to extend these pistons to retract these blocks, we have to actually power this input and the input below at the same time. And if I add that right there, you will see that this whole thing will actually retract now, this whole quad extender. So at this moment, if when I added this redstone, this here will actually retract all the way down, because this input also powers this bottom input, which also powers this repeater for a third time, which will basically do the whole thing. So what we see now is the whole thing retracting all the way up, like so. And it's not that complicated, it's just some pretty cool timings. And then for the last part of the top, basically, we need to power these pistons once more. This is actually not the just the last part of the top. It's actually extra moves which needs to be there in order for this thing to work. And that's what this orange stuff is. It's delayed, so this here can finish before anything else happens. And yeah, the first pulse that needs to go is this white input right here, and that's done through this here. So this is a monostable. It does interfere, but it does not matter because it's fired late enough so it won't interfere with that part. And this here gives a one-tick pulse into this piston, which will push it up, just the way this closing circuit here works. And so And after this will give a pulse through into this 2-tick repeater, which will give the last pulse to the first quad, basically, into that that input right there. Now, these here also needs to store the blocks, and that's just done through here, through these 2 repeaters, and then it's done. So we will see that right now. So now it's going to retract the first pair of blocks, like so. And now you can see this has toggled and will be at the top now and won't fire the second time. Which means that if I extend this again, it will retract those blocks up to there. And as you might have seen, these actually push out underneath. And it's, yeah, it's just timed in a way that they won't push the pistons over. And I'm actually going to test something. This is going to be stupid. It might not even work, but who knows? It might. See if you actually need the F1 piston. I didn't even check it out. Let's see that again. It's fun to watch this door open and close, basically. And let's see if this works. If it doesn't, well then it doesn't. Actually, it turns out you don't need a toggle piston at all, because this here basically blocks it out. That's cool. Now I know that. I haven't actually tested that before. Huh. Funny. Very funny. Well, I guess that's about it for the top, really. I'm actually going to go into a different world here, where I show the entire door right here. And now you can see how everything works together. So, for some reason there are errors when displaying this, but I don't know why. It's just strange, but yeah. Basically, it works just as you want it to work. With some strange display errors, but that's just because of stuff, I don't know. It's strange. Well, what you might see is that the closing for the bottom is well, actually the full closing is 100% independent. Is that none of the closing parts actually work together in any way, but it's when the opening, everything, well, basically shares everything, because sharing is caring, really. What happens is that the quad extender will push all of these blocks down to here. That's the first thing that happens. You can see this right now. And then this will retract those blocks and break the door. Why? What? Huh? Why did that even happen? I don't know. That's never happened before. Let's check that again. Oh yeah, now it works. There was something very weird about that. I don't even know what happened. Don't blame me. Blame Mojang. Well, so yeah, everything works together in this door. There's like almost no parts that actually work independently, except from the closing, which actually already is the same circuit as before, which then doesn't really make it a separate circuit. Yeah, everything is shared basically. Well, actually, there's one independent thing. The sides. It's just a simple thing that goes over here, which is powered through this into that. Yeah. And there's one more thing I actually have to say. Is I'm actually going to give some tips right now on how to compact stuff. Really, not generally. It might not work for every build, but for this one, it really did. So in this build, it's simplified a lot. One of the first 5x5s that I saw basically had like a triple, well, actually a hipster door from each side, which would take up space like 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, like that or so, maybe even further, but I don't know. And that would take up a lot of space on the sides, and then you would first have to reject the first block and then the second block, and then it's done. And for the bottom, it's basically 1 and 2, and at the top there's 3 blocks going down, like 1, 2, 3. And that is a lot of piston movements. That's a lot of piston movements. And to do that, all of those separate moves, you need a lot of space, because, yeah, there's just a lot to time, basically. But what this door does, it takes into account the part of sharing stuff, using the same circuits again and again. And that's actually one of the best tips I have to compact stuff, well, like compact very big stuff, is to reuse stuff. Use stuff that already been used before, gets used again. Like this light blue circuit here. It gets used for both the opening and closing, as well as the cyan gets used for both an opening and closing, and the blue is actually always there, but it's just not toggled. And all of this orange stuff is the same for both opening and closing. And yeah, the quad is the same. And the closing works together in both places. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to go into this thing, but it works. That's the best part. Oh, and also this here, if you might have seen in the when this door opens, is that there are 2 quads. The first quad extender pushes it all the way down, and then there's another one right there. And basically, that means that it's the same circuit on for getting the first and the second block for the quad. And that simplifies it a lot. Simplifying again. This double quad thing was not me, Deco, or Minecraft Chris's idea. Originally, it was actually from Redstone Innovation, but we were able to simplify it more than they did, so we could make it more compact. I guess, I don't know. It's just that there's a lot less to do in this one than in the other one. There are a lot less piston movements, there are a lot less to power, and generally a lot less to do. So yeah, I think I have rambled for far too long now, and I'm starting to get pretty dry in my mouth, my throat, I don't know, whatever. And yeah, I'm getting pretty tired, so I hope this clears some stuff up on how the heck this thing works and how the heck this thing can be so compact as it is. And yeah, it's just cool. Any more questions? If there are any more questions, just write them in the comment section and I will try to answer them if they are possible to answer. If they're impossible to answer, well, then they are impossible to answer. And let's not talk more about that. And yeah, that's it for today. Hope this was a educational experience. Hope you learned a lot. And yeah.